Mr. Lee, your career spanned from analog days, film printing processes now to digital print process. I suppose it's better for the environment. What is your take on that?
I think both analog and digital is not too good for the environment as well. Unless it all depends on the companies that are producing the inks, and when it is analog, all analog films have got a high content of silver inside, and when you process, the silver are being extracted from using chemicals, and they remain in the sludge. So unless you manage to get the silver, or if you just pour the used chemicals in the drain, then it actually hurts the environment.
Yeah.
It's the same as inks and inkjet inks. Everybody is trying to make a buck or money out of inks, and China produces a cheap type of ink, which is in the form of a blood bag. You know, when you donate blood, it comes in a bag. Okay, China comes with those kind of bags, different color inks. So that is actually very bad for the environment, and not only that, it's actually bad for the workers. Before you walk into the lab, you can already smell the ink. So those are actually very hazardous, and feel that all those, unless what are being handled, the problems have been handled, they try to, but it's not happening. Silver in analog days, there are people who come in and collect your used chemicals.
Right.
They will take back and they will try to extract the silver out of it. How do they extract the silver? They go into a jungle and use wood and burn the chemicals to dry up the chemicals, so they retain the silver, actually pure silver.
Pure silver.
So the burning of the wood and the evaporation of the chemicals is actually bad for the health.
I see.
And this, quite a lot of collectors have been shut down by the environmentalists. You know, so whereas when it comes to inkjet, there was a buyback program from HP.
Right, yes.
You know,
remember that.
there's a buyback program from HP whereby they come and collect your used cartridges.
Yeah.
But the thing is that your used cartridges doesn't pay. So I think the program died by itself. So for us as a lab, when we buy a machine, we buy eco-friendly machines. That's why, but it's very costly as compared to a normal China-made machines. You know, I can get the job done, but I don't care what is going to happen after that. You know, so if you walked in the lab and you can still smell chemicals, that lab is not a good place to be in long term in a sense.
Yes.
But for a staff, they have to be there 24/7. So it hurts their health badly.
So I think it's good to put your cartridges in recycle bins to be disposed of in a correct manner.
Yes.
Yeah. You should encourage that. Yes. Mr. Lee, you were saying that printing is a preferential thing, and it encompasses quite a lot of considerations, like the type of paper, print, matte or glossy, metallic, and things like that. Can you expand and share with us on that one?
Okay, because printing is actually a choice, preferential choice for paper. But when if a printer comes and tell you, they can say that, oh, this image you can print very well with the matte paper. But what if I don't like matte paper? So it's very preferential in the sense that it all depends on what you want. All right. And actually, when the customer wants this, just give. But the problem is that if you can see through the walk through my lab, we have a lot of papers, but we cannot cater for everyone. All of a sudden, I found that I like this picture to be on Kozo paper. What is Kozo paper? And to bring in a roll of Kozo paper, it costs about $2,000 just to print your one image or two images. Then what am I supposed to do with the rest of the paper? As a commercial printer, I cannot do that. If I'm a fine art printer, yes, we don't consider ourselves as fine art printers, but we are a commercial printer, which our clientele comes from all over the world through word of mouth. The photographers will come in and get things done in that sense.
I see. I guess there's a difference between a hobbyist printing and coming through to a commercial printing lab, right? Yes.
And on top of that, I would say that in terms of inkjet, like you say, analog, either you have matte paper, glossy paper, and unless you want to get yourself into fine art, you tone your papers, you have toner papers, you have different type of black and white papers. But even black and white papers, they are very subjective in the sense that there are different grades of paper. Some are very contrasty, some are very cool in the sense that, So, and in terms of inkjet, there are different type of materials, different type of inks. There's dye-based ink, pigment inks, and solvent inks. So dye-based inks, the reproduction of the colors are very good, but they don't last. Pigment inks are more subdued, and they do last. And there's another one that's called solvent inks, which are actually used for outdoor electricity poles, those banners and buntings. Those are using solvent inks. If you put a dye-based ink, print on dye-based ink, and put it on the telephone pole or on an electricity pole, it fades within 2 weeks.
I see.
So
cannot be
it doesn't last. So it depends on what is the choice of material you're going to use, how the choice of materials you are going to use for. You're going to use for indoors or outdoors, or what? You have to let me know. So those are the things that different users uses different inks, different materials.
Okay. Then what about inks that can last like 100 years?
There is an Epson recently came out on their website that they have an archival inks. Okay, archival inks, which actually, when you talk about archival inks, the inks has to be archival, the paper has to be archival. So you cannot have one or the other and consider yourself as this is an archival print. I've come across people who told me that, I'm printing archival papers, and when I ask the price, they're cheaper than normal paper. How can it be? It doesn't make sense. So those are being horned in the market because there's no actual paper that states at the back that it's archival paper. so you can see the difference.
Right.
So archival papers are good in the sense that Epson claims they last 100 years. So the exhibition that we did are all on archival papers and archival canvases. So we want to make sure that when you buy a print from us, the print lasts in the sense.
Yeah. Before we come to the end of this feature with Mr. Lee, do you have any thoughts to share with us, to the audience?
Yes. As a printer, I would love to see your prints. To those members or public who wants to print, when they use what they call digital files, please make sure that you trust your printer, okay? So that they don't pilfer your pictures, and make sure that they are very honest. They print only your pictures, and after that they don't use your images anymore. All right. So print with your reputable printer that you use. Okay, it can be anyone, but make sure that the colors coming out of the pictures, you must like them, in the sense that don't give me a picture that's like printed like a dead person whose face color is all different in color, in the sense that, so I would reject the print. Please reject the print if it's printed in my place. If I can't give you the correct colors, we will share and see where we go wrong. All right, it could be your monitor that's wrong, and the monitor is not calibrated to my printer, so there's a lot of difference. So please make sure, print your pictures, don't keep it underneath the bed. That's my thought.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, for sharing your thoughts and coming on to the show, sharing your expertise and your experience and your knowledge on photographic print. I
hope it helps.
Well, in this episode with Mr. Lee Hong Leng, inspired to print for conservation awareness, photographic print have always played a key role in storytelling, raising awareness for threatened wildlife, for example, due to deforestation, documenting climate change, or just showing the beauty of the flora and fauna and the fragility of nature, and to impart that knowledge and education from your photographic story. So, as Mr. Lee said, don't keep your beautiful, memorable images under wraps, under your bed, in your hard disk, but show them proudly, as pictures are powerful media to bring awareness. In closing, we hope you have enjoyed this episode with Mr. Lee Hong Leng and have gained some insights from this talk. Stay tuned for the next exciting episode on M&S Naturegrapher. Do remember to click subscribe button to stay tuned for the next episode. And if you are keen to become a member of M&S, there is a click down there in the link for the application details in the M&S website. See you again. Bye now.
Bye.